Welcome to Swanzey Then and Now. And today we're going to be talking about the Goldenrod Grange, number 114. And this is a building that's really important to me. I have driven by this for years and years and years, all my life, going to Swanzey Lake and passing by. It's a white building with black shutters, and it says Swanzey Preservation Society on it, but I have no idea, or didn't have any idea, what was inside. And so I joined the Swanzey Preservation Society, and one of our goals is to raise funds to do renovations, just like we've done, or what's been done with the Whitcomb Hall. There's a lot of buildings in Swanzey that we need to keep. And so if we can, raise funds as a community, I think that we can save some of these buildings. So that's what we're going to do today, is look at the Grange building and a little bit of history. Okay? Here we go.
Works for me.
All right. So we're going to start with the location. So it's located towards the bottom of Mount Caesar. This is a picture of Mount Caesar here. And in the back, you can just barely see the barns.
On the left-hand side is the old barn that was for the Central House, and then was still there all the way into the 60s.
Okay. So you're saying Central House. Let's look at the next photo. That's the Grange now.
That's the Grange as of 1915. That's what you would see.
Correct. And then the next photo is of the Central House. And we've got two photographs of the Central House. This one's not as good as the next one, but that does show the Central House. Now, this would be Route 32.
Right. This would be Route 32 in a dirt version.
Yeah.
A path.
Right.
And there you go. That's the
groundbreaking for the Grange.
The Grange. And
right.
I believe
so backing up a little bit on the hotel, how did that disappear?
As in everything else, it burned to the ground. And somewhere in that same time frame, the town hall across the street burned in 1913. Somewhere in that same time frame, because the Grange was built in 1915.
Right.
So
there was a lot going on in
14,
Swanzey.
there had to be a lot going on.
Can you imagine? Because you had the Whitcomb Hall, which was, 1916 too?
1916 is when that's built.
And then you have this one, the Grange Hall, in around 1916 or so.
Well,
you've got East Swanzey Community House, 1914, 1919.
Right, but it's all in that same time frame, isn't it? Where we're trying to build community houses, really, for all the villages.
Right, right. And then you've got Mount Caesar, which was built before that. Luckily, I mean, not Mount Caesar, Mount Caesar Library, or
the library.
There's a whole story there too.
We got to go through that.
Yeah, we have so much to share with you. It's just a matter of what do we want to talk about next. All right, so let's go back to the Grange. So the groundbreaking. We had the groundbreaking in 1915, and this gentleman here is William Carr Belding, and he was the first master of the Grange.
He was elected master.
Right, and so a Grange Hall was built.
That's
go ahead.
Before 1915.
What was before?
Because the Goldenrod Grange was actually first conceived in 1886.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay,
And
so
they
he's
met
back to 1886 then.
Back to 1886.
Okay.
Now, they met in the church, they met in homes, and then they actually rented the town hall, the old town hall, not the one that you're familiar with.
Right, the one that burned.
The one that burned.
Right.
They would rent that out as the membership grew.
Right, and the purpose...
They couldn't do it at homes anymore.
The purpose of having a Grange was for people to come together, to
Right.
get good prices for their crops, to work together. They had dinners.
Right, you think about farming, it's a lonely sort of go out in the field and do what you have to do.
Right.
You don't mix with other people that well. And so the Grange brought people together and to talk about their problems and to solve them together and to help them out.
Right.
And that's what the Grange really did.
Yeah, because I was doing some reading about Granges, and a lot of it had to do with the railroad system and how much the railroad system would charge for products to be brought to market too. So there was a lot of building, again, community and building relationships so that they could get what they needed.
Right.
And make a profit so that they could survive.
Right. And they also did the suppers and dances.
Right, so
would
they
happen
all
at Grange
have
halls.
kitchens.
This wasn't in New England, it was actually in Pennsylvania, but I read a thing about this guy that studied dances, and dances in that area, if they were in a fireman's hall, they were different than if they were in Grange Hall. And the reason was, fireman's hall, they were just trying to make money. Grange Hall was for community.
Right, right.
And so that was there was a lot more going on with the Grange.
Yeah. And sort of that's why I feel like we need to keep these things. Okay, because you never know, maybe community will become more important again, like it used to be. Someday,
Well, I hope
you
so,
never know.
yes.
You never know. Okay, so we have a meeting of officers. That looks like maybe the 60s, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know who any of these gentlemen were, but it looks like they must have been important.
I'm going to say one of them was a Mr. Adams, but
If anybody knows,
yeah,
let us
yeah.
know. This is the Grange Hall in all of its
that's
gala.
probably decked out for the 1933
200th anniversary.
200th anniversary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so now we're going inside. Again, I had never been inside this building, and a lot. I mean, it hasn't really been used for like 20 years, from what I understand. They've done a lot to preserve it.
But the biggest thing that used to happen in there, of course, we had the old homestead.
Yes.
And there was a supper at the church on Friday,
Yep.
the brick church. There was a supper on Saturday, the biggest night, governor's night, when everybody came,
Yep.
would be at the Grange.
Right.
And
I
then
think
Sunday,
it was 400 people would be served dinner there.
and then
Yeah.
Sunday they would have one in West Swanzey at the church. So that's back in the day when
Back in the day.
when we had 1,500 people a night, pretty much at the
Yeah.
Potash Bowl.
I wish.
And you think about it today, and
Yeah. If people just, like, there's a lot of people that never saw the old Homestead play. And I have to say, I never had seen it until probably 10 years ago. And it just, there's so many people from the community that were mentioned in it, and it's just cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about the old Homestead today.
we'll do that later.
Yeah, we will. Okay, so let's look at some more pictures. So in the Grange, there is a board that has a bunch of history on it. We'll have this available for events that the Grange will have going in the future, but come and view. So these are just a few pictures of the downstairs. We'll keep shooting through these a little bit. Oops, sorry guys, that wasn't supposed to be there, but this is a beautiful picture of the upstairs. So
Set up too.
Yeah. As you go up the stairs, this would be, as you're looking at the building, the stage is to your left. And I always pictured it on the right because there's doors on the right, but that's not the way it's set up. So we've got chairs, the original chairs. That blue thing is actually the curtain.
That's the curtain.
Yeah. And there is a piano in the corner over there. It's not in very good tune, but we do have a piano. Better picture of the stage. Now, there are quite a few things that need to be done to this building in order to bring it up to being able to be used again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a beautiful stage, and from what I've seen, a lot of these buildings had stages. They must have done a lot of plays and presentations and honorariums.
I think the idea behind the Grange and having stages is, again, a community center and to give to the community.
Right.
It's not just the Grange members that attended. So
Right. Yeah.
they all, seems like everyone that I've seen has had, a stage. And that's where the Grange curtains come in, because that was a guy that went around the state. And he'd come in and sell them on a curtain for
So
their
what was
Grange.
it? Was like canvas, and they would paint on the canvas?
They would paint on it. But
And it wasn't a pull across, it was a reeled up.
But first what they do is they go out and get sponsors. And unfortunately, the one in 114 Grange,
Has been
they
painted.
painted around it,
Right.
that blue
But
that
we're
you
going to
see.
show you, if you look really, really close, this is what it looks like now.
That's the curtain with the blue around it. It's a beautiful picture of Swanzey Lake.
Yeah.
That's actually, I believe, the boathouse that used to exist where Denman Thompson's cottage was. And I think that's gone. That after the hurricane, that was taken away. But.
Yeah. Now, I know this looks like a blue screen, but
It
if
does
you
look
look
like a
really
blue screen.
close, you can see Something Brothers.
Yeah.
And this is what
I
they
do
did.
see
So
that.
what they did is they painted right over this. And I think the next photograph is the same kind of thing. Again, you have to look really, really close. But there are words under there. It's just that they've been painted over. So now we do have the curtain.
Right.
Yeah. And then this is the stage, actually. This is a behind version of what's there with the
What's
stage. So
there.
it's got that old board, what is it, horsehair? Or
Oh.
I'm not positive what it was made of, but it's not sheetrock.
Oh, it's probably horsehair
Yeah,
polyester.
yep, yeah.
I had that in my house.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's just what they used. Another version of what we could have when it gets renovated. It's a great hall to do plays in. You could have dances. I think you used to do contra dances, I think you said at one time.
I
not
don't
here.
ever remember them here, but I used to do contra dances in all the town halls,
Right,
all over the place.
right.
I
Maybe
mean, Dublin.
you never know. Maybe we'll have contra dances again. Yeah. And this is a hard one to see, but this is actually going down the stairway from upstairs. But what I liked about this is that it's got wood, and you can just imagine how many hands have held those rails over the years.
And how many actors went up and down that? Because there were
Oh,
several
yeah.
years that we did
I think
makeup
this is the only way up
upstairs.
and down, isn't it?
Yes.
Besides the
Well,
fire escape.
They added a fire escape
Right.
Later.
Right, right. Yep. So what I wanted to touch on just a little bit is some of the activities that we have going on for the Grange in order to build awareness of some of the activities that are going to be going on. So in May, on the third weekend in May, the plan is to have an open Grange Day. So it's called Grange Day. It's an open house. And there'll be activities. We're doing a coloring contest for kids up from kindergarten to 6th grade. There'll be a pie eating contest, little pies, but that's for the kids. And we may do a version for the adults if we have enough interest. So Lee, I don't know if you'll be by. Little pies, little pies. And then, let's see, a skillet toss. We're going to do a skillet toss. And then there'll be other activities where people can go around to like tractors. Mike Johnson has offered to bring his tractor, and we may have other tractors there. We want to have some small animals, some gardening kinds of activities. So there'll be lots of things going on that day that people can kind of look back at how Grange activities may have happened, in the past. We're not going to do a meal, but there's lots of things that will be coming up. And then as we get to Old Home Day, which is in July, that's the third weekend in July as well, we're going to open up the Grange again to do tours. And we'll be doing tours on the May event as well. But we'll be doing tours. We'll be doing a pie judging contest.
Oh.
So that's big pies. And that will be judged on, flavors, style, those kinds of things. We're also going to have this is hopefully, but we're also going to have a memory booth. And as with this show, we want people to come and talk about things that they remember about Swanzey. So get your aunts and uncles and your grandparents and your great-grandparents to come down and talk with us so that we can get this on video if they're interested. Because just like our buildings, once our relatives have passed, we may forget what happened. And I don't want to forget. And that's why I'm glad that you have photographs and things like that.
I'm always looking for photographs. So
Right.
if anybody has photographs, if they run across them, I mean, even if you don't want to give them up, if you just let us have them for a while so we can digitize them.
Totally.
And that's all I'm really looking for.
Right, right. Some of the other things that we've talked about are doing cemetery tours. You and I had just been talking about doing cemetery tours as part of some of the other activities that we might do at the Grange. And another thing that we'd like to do in September or in the fall is do some kind of a tour of some of the historical buildings in the area. Maybe bring in the West Swanzey Museum into the whole picture as well. Visit some of the places like Whitcomb Hall or any of the other buildings that might be of significance, like some of the schools maybe, some of the schools that are still up, different buildings that people might be interested in that maybe they've never had a chance to venture into. So
That could be.
it could be interesting.
Could be interesting.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of planning to do for a lot of these activities, but what the Swanzey Preservation Society does is try to preserve history and their major goal right now is to start fundraising for the Grange, just as you have done with the Whitcomb Hall. We'll be doing some more fundraising for that. What else? Oh, and there's also, do you remember the Heritage Cookbook?
Oh, yeah.
So
there was, several cookbooks
right.
were done over the years.
Yeah, yeah. So we're thinking that it might be good to find some stories about different recipes or different family events that have led to these recipes. And, we're hoping that we'll do a hard copy, but what we'd like to do also is a digital version so that people can have it at their homes and be able to share these kinds of things with their families. You look like you want to say something.
Digital.
I know, it's hard to believe, but we've got to, bring everything back into the 21st century now. And it saves money too. People.
Yeah.
I know. I like having a book myself.
I do too.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit now. We've talked about the Goldenrod Grange, and but there was the Lincoln Grange over near Whitcomb Hall.
I never knew that until later on when I started looking at stuff. But the Lincoln Grange was number 159. Mm-hmm. And I think that has something to do with when they're activated here. So obviously it started December 31st, 1890 is when they started, with 16 members. And that's the Grange that Dr. Hopkins ends up becoming the master to.
Right.
Sort of like can you join the Grange? And then within a year he was, hey, can you be the master? Right. So he had to go through his degrees to get up to that point so he could be the master.
Right.
But that's where the Lincoln Grange actually met, first in that Universalist church that we showed, but then in Whitcomb Hall. Now, what I don't know, I haven't seen any real pictures. I assume, it's the same as the Grange Hall, the Goldenrod Grange, that probably the upstairs they use for meetings and stuff, and the downstairs they'd have suppers.
Right.
But I don't know that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen pictures.
It makes
and all
sense,
the stuff
though.
that they had. I don't know what happened to
Right.
it. It all went away.
Yeah. It's funny how, they used buildings, they used whatever they could at the times when they needed to, until they could raise the funds to build the buildings that they really wanted. And it's interesting to see, again, how many buildings had stages, how many buildings had kitchens. This was all, as we said earlier, all about community. Yeah. Because, I remember when I was growing up going to church suppers.
Yes.
I mean, we still have church suppers. Yeah. I mean, the brick house, the brick church has church suppers on, is it the third? I think it's the third Sunday.
It's the third Sunday of the month.
Right. And those are delicious, meals that are home cooked.
With the exception to July, because they don't do one in July anymore.
Right, yeah. Well, it's really hot in July, and people are all on vacation and stuff too. But, it's really, all of this is about community. Even the shows that we're doing right now, these are about sharing your thoughts, your photographs, your memories with people in the community, with your own relatives. I've started talking with my dad, as an example. And not because I never talked with my dad, but I just started talking with my dad more about Swanzey, because we have relatives that came from Swanzey, and we've been looking through old clips. And I couldn't believe it the other day. There was a newspaper clipping of my great-great-grandmother, and it referenced how she was the top grandmother of the area. They were having a birthday party for her or something, and she had some notoriety. I was like, my great grandmother, and there's things that you don't know, like people's names. Somebody might have a name that you've always called them, but that wasn't their real name, along the way.
We almost can do a whole show on people and their what do we call it? It's nicknames. Nicknames. Yep. I mean, it seems like it went hand in hand with Mills.
Right.
Because, this is what I called this person all their life, but that wasn't
Never
the
knew
name.
his name was John.
I was like, oh. But that's the way it was. I mean,
Yeah.
every once in a while I get a picture too, and a picture will have their name,
Yeah.
and the name is just their nickname.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of
Who
the
was
things
it?
I know. Well, one of the things that just bringing back to the Goldenrod Grange, one of the things that I really admire is we have a print that is of the Grange that Tim Campbell has made.
Yep.
And we don't have the original. I believe the original was either raffled or sold at one time. But we do have a print of it. And we will be raffling off prints and making them available also at some of the events that we have. So thank you, Tim, for all of your interest in keeping community going too. Because if you've ever looked at his artwork, it's all traditional. It's all
The very rural
right, and it's history and it's
folk art
yeah,
style.
He's got a different style
Yeah.
than a lot of the artists that I see, and I really admire what he's been doing. He's done a lot for a lot of the smaller communities in the area, and I hope he continues on. So yeah, and then just bringing it back to the Grange. In Swanzey Center, we have the town hall, which was built in 1933 or so.
The town hall that's there was built in 1914.
1914, okay. So we have the town hall that was built in 1914. We have the library.
And that was what, 1846 or
And
so?
from what I understand with
if you go to the library, there's two
The two dates on the sides.
the dates
right.
are on the top of the door
Yeah,
frame.
yeah.
One is the date it was built as the Swanzey Academy, and the other one's the date that it was bought and changed to the Mount Caesar Union Library Association.
And the other thing, just as a little tidbit that I learned, is that it was the Universalists
Yes.
that began it.
Yes, the
So it's like all these little stories, you have no idea until you
What
really
it was,
look
there
into
was
these.
sort of like this contest amongst the area,
Uh-huh.
and Swanzey raised the most money.
That's what it was. Yes, I remember reading that. Yeah. So, okay, so we got the town hall, we've got the Mount Caesar Library, we've got, let's see, Wilcox School.
Wilcox School,
And
that's
down-
about 1925 or so.
Yeah, and when was the Brick Church? Do you know that?
Brick Church was
That's pretty-
1836.
Yeah.
I might be off by a year,
Yeah.
but that's when that
So
was built.
that was really used probably in the very, very beginning for a lot of things, I would think.
Well,
through
it
the
was
years
just,
until-
when it was first built, it was just a church.
Right.
Just a brick church.
Yeah.
Nothing,
Yeah,
no French
L,
or hall.
no carriage barns in the back.
Well, carriage barns probably were not too far in the distance
Mm-hmm.
of it, but if you look, anytime you look at the pictures of the church, you have to look at what else is on it.
Mm-hmm.
And at first they add some offices and bathrooms, and then they add a little bit more, and then Friendship Hall in '65, I think it was.
Yeah.
I remember when that was built.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then you got the Potash Bowl. Like these are,
Right.
everything is in Swanzey Center.
Yeah.
There's just so much to see. So, during Old Home Day, a lot of times some of these buildings will be opened up and people
Yeah.
can go and take a view. So anyway, today we've been in Swanzey Then and Now, talking about the same things that we talk about on every show, but it's all different. Every show has a different topic. I'm really glad that you were with us today, Lee, and I know that we've got more to tell.
We've got a lot to
Yeah,
digest sometime
right.
here.
Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you learned a little bit, and keep an eye out for the Grange, the Goldenrod Grange, number 114. We will be looking to invite you in to view what's going on and keep you abreast on the fundraising. So anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you again soon, and thank you very much.